Hey everybody, how you doing today? And I'm super excited because ETA Prime has accepted to team up with me today. I contacted him on Facebook and asked him if I can use one of his tutorials to be able to put in my video, so that way I can kind of give you guys a show of how to run Emulation Station on Recallbox on a laptop. Let's check it out. So again, thank you to ETA Prime. I'll put a link to his video in the description below. He has all kinds of amazing tutorials. He allowed me to steal his video with his permission to be able to use it as a tutorial on my video, because I want to be able to show you guys how easy and how simple it is to run Recallbox on a laptop without a hard drive. My laptop does not have a hard drive, and I don't like to reinvent the wheel. So I'm not going to try to make a video to show you guys how to do Recallbox and what it looks like in the process. If he's already done it, well, we're going to let him show you, and then I'll show you the final product.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today I'm going to show you how to install Recallbox 4.1 on a PC. We're actually going to be running it from an external USB stick or a USB drive. Now for this tutorial, you will need two USB sticks, one to boot the operating system off and the other one to run the games from. The second USB stick can also be a USB hard drive as long as you don't have anything on it, because we do need to format it. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. Now this will work on most PCs. You might run into some compatibility issues with your graphics card. There's not much information out there, but I'm going to be using a small form factor Lenovo MP93. It has an i5 with an Intel HD 4400 GPU built in. It plays GameCube flawlessly and Dreamcast. So the first thing you're going to need to do is download the Recallbox 4.1 PC image, or the x86 image. We're going to head over to the Recallbox website, links in the description. Scroll down until we find PC 64-bit or PC 32-bit. Most of you will be able to use 64. If you have an older PC, you might want to go with the 32-bit. I'll be going with 64. Recallbox.image. Go ahead and download that. Next thing we need is Etcher. We're going to use Etcher to flash the image to a USB stick. Really simple to use. I'm going to download the portable version. This does work with Mac, Linux, or Windows, so you have options here. I'll go with the 64-bit portable. Close this down. So I have my Recallbox image that I just downloaded on my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and extract it. Now that it's extracted, we have it right here. I'm going to open it up. Recallbox.img. It's an image file. It's 2 gigabytes. I just plugged in a fresh USB stick. It's only an 8 gigabyte, but a 4 gigabyte will work. We're going to be running the operating system off of this stick here. I just named it USB Flash so I know exactly where it is. And I'm going to run Etcher. The portable version, you don't need to install anything. Just double click, run, and it'll start up. Super simple interface here. Select image, desktop, recallbox.image. We have the image selected. It already detected my USB device, but if you want to change it, click change. Make sure you choose the correct USB device that you want to boot from. Click continue and flash. This could take a little while to flash to the USB stick, so just be patient. It's going to flash the image, and then it's going to verify the files on the USB stick. When it's done, it'll let you know it's done. Alright, the flash is complete to the bootable USB stick. Now I'm going to insert the USB drive that I'm going to be running my ROMs from. I'm going to place my 32 gigabyte USB stick into my PC now. I'm going to rename it and format it NTFS. So now I have the USB stick inserted in my PC that I'm going to be running my games from. I'm going to open up a file explorer and find that unit here. I've renamed mine USB 32. I'm just going to right click, format. Under volume label, rename it something that you'll remember. File system, NTFS. And start. Click OK. It's going to format that drive for us. The format is complete. Now we're going to be moving over to the PC we're going to be running Recallbox from. Now, when you boot this up, you need to boot from the USB stick. All manufacturers are different. So when you initially boot your system, you have to press a hotkey to get to the boot menu. On my system, F10 will bring me to the boot menu, but on your system, it could be different. So you need to go ahead and search on Google for the make and model of your laptop or PC and find out how to get into the boot menu. It's pretty easy. It's usually either escape, F2, F10, F9, or even delete. But on mine, it's F10. Let's move over there now. All right, so I booted up my PC. Like I mentioned, my hotkey to get into my boot menu is F10. So I've pressed F10. I can select my USB drive from here. It's different for every manufacturer, motherboard, PC, laptop, so you need to Google it. Find out how to get to your boot menu. You can also go into your BIOS and set this as your primary boot drive, so every time you start your PC up, as long as this bootable USB stick is inserted, it will boot into Recallbox. From here, I'm going to go to USB PMAP Part 0 boot drive. This is probably going to be named different on your computer. I don't want to boot from UEFI. I want to boot legacy. So I'm going to go to USB, boot drive, press enter. I'm now running Recallbox 4.1 from a USB drive on my PC. I've also plugged in a USB Xbox 360 controller. It's automatically configured in Recallbox 4.1, but if you're using a different type of controller, all you need to do is press a button on the controller and the configuration input will show up. It'll prompt you how to set the controller up. It's fairly simple, and you're ready to play some games. There's already some pre-installed here. There's actually some pretty cool games on the unit already. But we want to add our own. I'm going to plug in the other USB stick that we got ready. We formatted it NTFS, and I renamed mine USB 32 so I know exactly what I'm choosing when I get into this menu. I'll press start on my controller after my new USB stick is plugged in. I'll go to System Settings. From here, disk usage is listed as 5 gigabytes. Now, this is on an 8 gigabyte USB drive that I flashed Recallbox to. That's not enough space for me. I've also tried to flash this to a 32 and a 128 gigabyte drive. On the 32, I don't get any space left. On the 128, I also don't have any space. Hopefully this is fixed in the future so we don't have to use a separate USB or a separate USB hard drive to run our games from. But for now, I have that 32 gigabyte stick plugged in. I'm going to scroll to Storage Device. I'm going to find that stick, USB 32. After I click Close, Recallbox has to reboot. It's going to write a folder to that new USB stick called Recallbox. Inside of there, we're going to place our ROMs and BIOSes. Go to Close. The system will now reboot. Click OK. Let it reboot. So we now have the new USB set up to run our games from. We're going to have to transfer some games from our PC to that USB stick. It created a new configuration file on that USB stick, so you may have to set your controller up again. Mine's already set up because it's an Xbox 360 controller, but don't be alarmed if it prompts you to set it up again. That'll be the last time you need to set your controller up. Now it's time to install some games to that new USB drive. It's really easy to do. All you need to do is insert it into a PC. You can access the file system, add your BIOSes and ROMs. Let's move over to my other computer now and get some games on here. Okay, so I'm back at my other PC. I'm going to open up that USB drive. It should still be named whatever you named it. Inside of here, we'll find a folder called Recallbox. Inside of the Recallbox folder, we have BIOSes, cheats, extractions, Kodi, music, ROMs, saves, screenshots, and system. I'm going to be focusing on the ROMs folder. Double click. I'm going to drag it over to the left-hand side. Now I'm going to find my games that are located on my PC. I can't show you where to get them, but if you do a quick Google search, you could find anything you ever wanted. So on the left-hand side is my Recallbox USB drive. On the right-hand side are the games I already have downloaded. I'm going to add a few SNES games here. I'll back up. I'm also going to add a few NES games. So I'll find my NES folder on my Recallbox USB drive, and I'll find some NES games on my PC. We'll just drop them right in here. Now the cool thing about Recallbox x86 is it does support Wii, GameCube, Dreamcast, and PSP. I'm going to add a few GameCube games and show you the performance there. The performance will vary depending on what PC you're running Recallbox on, but the HD 4400 that comes in a lot of Intel chips runs GameCube perfectly. I'm going to add a few of those games. It's going to take a little while, so I'll skip this part. Alright, so my GameCube games are almost transferred over completely. We're going to back up on the USB stick. You can go ahead and add games to any of these that you'd like. Some of these do require BIOSes, like Game Boy Advance, Dreamcast, and PlayStation 1. I'll leave links to the Recallbox forum so you can get an idea of what kind of BIOSes you need. Your BIOSes will just go right in your BIOS folder. You just place them right in here. Now that I have some games on the USB stick, I'm going to move back over to my PC running Recallbox, and we'll start one of these GameCube games. Okay, so I'm back at my PC running Recallbox 4.1. I just plugged in my USB stick that I installed my new games to. If you scroll through, you still might not see them, so go ahead and press Start on your controller. From here, scroll to UI Settings. All the way at the bottom, Update Games List. Do you really want to update the games list? Yes. This is just going to scan that new USB and tell Recallbox that we've added these games. Give it a second to finish up. You can also do a reboot if you'd like to. When Recallbox finishes up, we should see our new games here. So I have 2 Nintendo GameCube games. I also added some NES games and some SNES games. Now you might notice we don't have any art. That's very easily fixed. Make sure you're connected online either with Ethernet or Wi-Fi. If you're using Wi-Fi, you can set it up very easily by pressing Start, Network Settings, Enable Wi-Fi, go to your Wi-Fi SSD and input the Wi-Fi name that you're using, and Wi-Fi key is the password to that Wi-Fi spot. I'm using Ethernet because it's so easy, I just have it plugged in. So after you're connected online, press Start on your controller, scroll to Scraper. There are 2 scrapers you can use, Screen Scraper or the Games DB. I prefer Screen Scraper. Scrape ratings, you can turn this on or off. Go to Scrape Now, filter only missing images. You can choose which systems you'd like to scrape. User decides on conflicts. I leave this off because it automatically scrapes everything for me. Click Start. So 19 games were successfully scraped, 2 were skipped. They may have been named incorrectly. You can fix that later on, but for now I'm going to click OK. I'm going to go to my Nintendo GameCube section. As you can see, I have artwork for my Nintendo GameCube games. I also have artwork for my newly added NES games and SNES games. I'm going to go back and I'm going to start a Nintendo GameCube game. And it looks like Soul Calibur 2 wasn't scraped. I think it's because it has a space between Soul and Calibur. Either way, the game's still going to play. I'm going to start it now. Just give you a quick demo of Soul Calibur 2 running within Recallbox 4.1 on my PC. And it runs really well. This is definitely hitting the 60 FPS mark. And like I said, I'm using that built-in Intel HD 4400 GPU. It's a low-end GPU, but it does handle GameCube pretty well. Press your hotkey and start to exit the game. And that's pretty much it for this video, guys. You now have a Recallbox 4.1 up and running on your PC from a USB drive. If you run into any sound issues, like you're not getting sound out of HDMI, press Start on your controller, scroll to Sound Settings, and change your output device. This might take a few tries to get it correct. I have 3 output devices and I need to find which one works for me. So I'll choose this one here, go to Close, and hopefully it works. I'll do a reboot. If it doesn't work, I have to choose the next one. That's really the only thing we can do right now to get sound working. I really appreciate you guys watching.
Alright, as you guys can see, I'm running the Recallbox and emulation station, and you guys can see right here, that is an 8GB flash drive, and my computer, which is my laptop, does not have a hard drive. The hard drive quit on me. What the beauty about this is, you don't have to have a hard drive in the computer at all to run it. You can just use the emulation station and Recallbox. It's pretty phenomenal. So that's what I've been doing. I have a standard USB Super Nintendo style, but it has the Nintendo colors. It's the next brand of the controller. Okay, you can see over there where that flash drive is, that has all my video games. Okay, I'm going to show you guys. There's Atari 2600, Atari 7800, Commodore 64, Dreamcast, Game Gear, Game Boy, and it shows you the amount on the screen. Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Atari Lynx, MAME, Sega Master System, Sega Mega Drive, Nintendo 64, NES, PC Engine, just Doom by itself, Super Nintendo, Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy is really cool. Those are just your favorites. I only have one. Oh, these are cool. The Panasonic real games are really cool. They're called 3DO. Are really super awesome. Here, let me turn that down real quick so you guys can hear me better, because it has its own built-in music. Okay. Commodore 64. I'm still getting that really worked out. The kinks a little bit because it doesn't really work so good. So I'm gonna run. Let's see. Let's go to Nintendo 64. Okay. And I'm going to show you guys the Mario 64 that ran really good. Let's see, I think it's under S. Or Super Mario. And it's the Japan version, so that's the one I can get to work the best on a emulation station. Let's turn this up for you guys.
Hello.
Okay. With the Recallbox, you really got to kind of pick and choose what works good and what doesn't. And if you've played Mario 64, you don't need to worry about the Japan writing because it has Japan and American. Okay? And I'll show you how well it works. And I've already pre-configured the controller, so it's already set. It's not that hard to pre-configure the controller. When you're in that main menu, all you have to do is press start, and then you can configure the controller from there. The controller configuration is simple. Okay, you can see it's running at full frame rate. I think it says the fastest this runs is at, I think, 60 FPS, which is what mine's running at. Okay. Alright. I want to get into the gameplay a bit, so we'll go ahead and fast forward real quick. Alright, now we're back into the game. Now I can show you guys a little more of how the gameplay works. I mean, it's really responsive. See, watch. When I hit this guy, boom. Okay, I'm going to beat this level really quick. Well, not like that, I'm not. Good thing we could jump up here and get it. Again, huge thanks to ETA Prime for putting this tutorial out there. I might get hit right here. Yep. It's kind of harder with just the D-pad because I only have that controller, but that's what makes it worth it, is because it's a challenge. Alright, here we go. Defeat the big bomb in the sky. The D-pad, this is challenging because sometimes he slips and goes all the way back down. You don't have that pivot like you do with the N64 controller or a Pro controller. I have those, but they're not hooked up right now. This is just the standard controller I like using, because I don't have to pack a bunch of controllers. I can just hook up one. And yes, you can go wireless. I just choose to use wire just for nostalgic purposes. my king bomb on. So you can tell I'm having a difficult time because it's the D-pad, but it's okay. I'm up for a good challenge. This guy's not that hard anyway. It's not like you're defeating Bowser. And the reason why I wanted to show you Mario 64 is because it's 64-bit, and you can tell the difference between a 64-bit game and a 32 and a 16 and how they run. You can tell it runs flawlessly. Alright guys, we're going to get on with the rest of the video. That was pretty awesome though. So like I said, his tutorial was pretty easy. It's simple. He's slow with the process. He completely walks you through the whole thing, and it takes, with a few bumps in the road, maybe 35 minutes. Again, thank you very much to ETA Prime for allowing me to collaborate and have your video in my video on YouTube. That way I can reach a broader audience, and you guys go check out his channel below and look up above. You can see ETA Prime's face right there because that's where he's going to be at. He's going to be on YouTube. Go follow him, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And with me, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And you guys be an amazing version of you. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.